hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for Wellness Week. We are here to chat about connecting with environmental wellness at Western, and we'll start off with a couple of introductions. So my name is Jess Cordes, and I'm the Sustainability Engagement Coordinator at Western. Mainly I focus on student engagement, but also do some work around staff and faculty engagement, raising awareness of our campus sustainability initiatives. And Evan, I'll pass it to you to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Jess. Hi, everyone. So my name's Evan Green. I'm the manager for energy and carbon on the facilities management team, working in the Office of Sustainability. My portfolio focuses on managing Western's energy consumption, utility spends, and carbon footprint. So looking after identifying projects to implement conservation measures, reduce our electricity demand, save money, and save carbon.
Great, so just a really quick overview of the agenda for this workshop. We're going to do an overview of Western's sustainability initiatives, some key challenges that we're experiencing due to the pandemic and otherwise, how you can get involved with our office and with sustainability initiatives. We will test everyone's knowledge with a quick Kahoot trivia and then respond to any questions and answers at the end. So starting off with a look at sustainability at Western. We wanted to begin with a look at some of the milestones that have taken place. So in 2011 was when the President's Advisory Committee on the Environment and Sustainability was first established. In 2012, PACES released the 2012 to 2022 Sustainability Plan. And also in that year, the first two buildings that are LEED certified on campus received that certification. So we now have 13 LEED certified buildings, and LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. In 2016, Western was recognized officially as a fair trade campus and also developed its low carbon strategy. In 2018, we became the first designated B campus in Canada and also released an open space strategy, which we'll be chatting about a little bit further on in the presentation. Then in 2019, the first LEED Platinum certified building came on campus, so the Amit Chakma Engineering Building. LEED certification goes from certified bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. At the time, there were only a handful of LEED platinum buildings on university campuses. So very interesting building with solar panels on the roof and a lot of energy conservation. More recently, with the release of Western's new strategic plan towards Western at 150, sustainability is identified as an imperative. So the Towards Western at 150 plan includes commitment to launch a collaborative research initiative, encourage greater biodiversity on campus, and meet enhanced carbon reduction targets, including net zero emissions from campus operations by 2050. Evan?
Perfect. Thanks, Jess. So when we talk about sustainability, we have to have a way to measure how we're doing. And so one of the avenues we have to do that is through the STARS program, which stands for the Sustainability Tracking Assessment and Rating System. It's specific to hi, Jess, you're on the slides for me there now. It's specific to post-secondary education. It's used globally. We submit reports every 3 years or so, and we just were recently recertified at a gold rating, our third consecutive time. It broadly tracks sustainability metrics in academia, engagement, operations, and administration. And so our team has done a gap analysis to try to understand how we can get to platinum, which is the highest rating, the next time we submit in 2024. And so this is near and dear to my heart, our energy and carbon footprint at Western. And so the graph we're looking at here shows our greenhouse gas emissions annually from 2005 to 2020. The blue bar shows our Scope 1 emissions, and so that's related to fossil fuels that are combusted on our property for our operations, generally for space heating. The second bar, the gray bar, shows Scope 2 emissions, which are attributed to electricity that's imported to site. And so our 2030 GHG reduction goal is to be 45% below 2005 levels by 2030. And so that goal is shown by the yellow bar that is drawn across the graph. And so you'll see that we've actually reduced our emissions quite a bit from 2005 to now. Although I will say a lot of that work, the heavy lifting was done from the Ontario grid being decarbonized. So there's no natural gas, there's no coal-fired electricity generation. It's predominantly nuclear now. And so because the grid has become less carbon intensive, that's helped us shrink our footprint. Moving forward, we still have some heavy lifting to do to reduce the blue bar as well as the gray bar. And so, like Jess had mentioned before, our 2030 goal is 45% below 2005, and by 2050 we want campus to be net zero emissions for our operations. And so, the low carbon strategy that was initially conceived in 2016, it really started by transforming our district and heating cooling systems into a lower carbon energy system. And so we've got historically, we've had central steam production by natural gas boilers, and we have two separate plants that produce chilled water, and all that energy is piped around campus to heat and cool buildings. And so one of the ways that we're helping reduce our GHG emissions is deep energy retrofits for existing buildings. So we look at existing and often vintage buildings, and we go in and optimize their heating and cooling and ventilation systems to meet modern standards. And we incorporate new equipment so that they can take advantage of waste heat that's been recovered at the power plant and shared around campus with the energy loop. Energy efficient design for new construction. A lot of similar concepts are being used in our deep energy retrofits as our new builds, but obviously with a brand new building, there are a lot more options. We have been pursuing green building certifications such as LEED, as Jess mentioned. Another standard that you're likely going to hear about moving forward on major projects is the zero carbon building standard. And so it really prioritizes designing buildings that need the least amount of energy possible, that make use of local sources of energy such as geothermal or solar PV, and facilitate energy sharing between buildings. And so with respect to renewable energy, we're not focused just on the building level. There's actually lots of space on campus and some significant potential to have district scale geothermal energy. And so we're looking at open spaces such as UC Hill, where a closed loop geothermal system could be installed below ground. After construction, you wouldn't even know it's there, and that energy can be injected into our district system and shared around campus. And it would displace gas-fired steam production at the plant now, so direct greenhouse gas emission savings with that sort of project. And another major step change that we're looking at making is fuel switching in the power plant. So we're looking at replacing the most vintage gas-fired boilers with an electric steam boiler. And it's really a significant change in GHG emissions, where an electric boiler can offset, we're estimating 10 to 12,000 tons of GHGs. And so that amount would get us most of the way to our 2030 goal. And then another fuel switching option that's going to become available to us in the future is renewable natural gas available through the existing gas grid. So there's lots of exciting tools we have in our tool belt for this. And I just wanted to talk just a little bit about our deep energy retrofits at the building level specifically. We're hoping to implement 2 to 4 of these types of projects every year. And they're really based on kind of your core sustainability principles of reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. So buildings use energy largely for ventilation and for heating and cooling and keeping the indoor space at a comfortable level. So what we often do, the first step is to look at older buildings and optimize the amount of air they're bringing in to meet current code requirements. And that often involves a drastic reduction in outdoor air that needs to be cooled in the summertime and air that needs to be heated in the wintertime. And so we're also reusing, recycling, and recovering that energy because air that's been heated in the winter then has to be expelled as we bring in new fresh air. That's energy that would previously just be sent to atmosphere. And we're actually able to recover that and use it within the building. And if there's not enough demand for it in the building, with our energy loop and district systems, we can share that between buildings. So it's a very significant measures that we're able to implement. And as you can see, some of the results, we expect to get 20 to 40% reduction in electricity consumption, 60 to 80% reduction in steam requirements, and 70 to 90% reduction in GHG emissions. So this is an initiative that we're planning to move over time. We'll do all buildings across campus. Another sustainability initiative that's incorporated into the buildings on campus certainly will be moving forward, and some retrofits have been taken on already, is the bird-friendly initiative to reduce birds striking buildings. So I think you'll be able to see the grid of dots that has been placed on the IGAB building, and I believe the Western Interdisciplinary Research Building has been outfitted with these as well. Moving forward, this has been incorporated into our design standards. And so just like the Deep Energy Retrofit program, we will eventually attempt to get to all buildings on campus, and new buildings will have this incorporated as well. Sustainable transportation. So active transportation is obviously a major sustainability initiative. We're improving bike lanes on campus. A new bike shelter is available in the Alumni Thompson lot, and that's the picture you see there on the left, as well as providing infrastructure for electric vehicles. So there's currently 3 EV charging stations on campus, and we're in the planning stages of trying to add significantly more chargers. And starting this year, as some fleet vehicles need to be replaced, we're going to start to incorporate EV vehicles into our own fleet.
And yeah, and another way that we are tackling transportation emissions is through an engagement program called the WISE Case Competition. So WISE stands for Western's Ideas for Sustainability and the Environment, which has been ongoing for a number of years. But what we changed this year is to make it into a specific sustainability challenge that we're experiencing on campus, and invite student teams to review the case, understand what we have done so far, and pitch their ideas to help improve sustainability. So the topic that we're looking at is reducing Western's commuting transportation Scope 3 emissions. And like you may recall from the graph that Evan talked about with Scope 1 emissions, which are talking about fossil fuel emissions combusted on site, Scope 2 emissions, which come from purchased electricity. Scope 3 emissions are talking about all other emissions related to campus operations. So one of the major contributors to Scope 3 emission is commuting transportation. And many of us use personal vehicles, gas-powered personal vehicles, to get to and from campus. So that's quite a sizable chunk of Western's emissions that haven't thus far been accounted for in data tracking because, well, for a number of reasons, it's very difficult to track, to find the metrics, but it's also it's a different part of the reporting requirement. So really exciting that we're starting to look at Scope 3 emissions, and also that students are working on solutions with us. So we'll be celebrating the winning teams. The date for this actually changed. We're just in the works of planning it out, but on March 30th, we're going to be hosting an Innovation and Impact Symposium to recognize the teams that have had the winning ideas. Another current initiative that we're working on with the community is the Western Green Awards. So this year, 2022, is our 15th anniversary of running the Green Awards. And in this photo, you can see recipients from that have received Green Awards over the years. It can be a student, staff, faculty, it can be an individual or a team that are making positive contributions to environmentalism and sustainability on campus. So the nominations are open right now, and the nominations close March 11th at just before midnight. You can find the link at the bottom of the slide here or from the sustainability website. So if you know somebody who is doing some great sustainability work, make sure that you nominate them and consider joining us at the Impact Symposium to celebrate on March 30th. One of the major pieces of work that I'm involved with is student engagement. And here's just kind of a subset of some of the student groups that are involved with sustainability on campus. So these three at the top here represent the University Students' Council Sustainability Group, EnviroWestern. In the middle is a group of students that we work with through our office, a network of leaders across campus that are involved in sustainable action at the student level. So the Western Sustainability Leaders Program. And then on the right here is SOG Sustainability. So these three groups, along with myself, have been working over the course of the year on leveraging the network of sustainability action that's happening at the student level. And so in October, we hosted a sustainability fair with all of these clubs right on Concrete Beach, where we had an opportunity to get to know each other, network, and raise awareness of student action on campus. And now we're kind of working on formalizing that network to set out some mutual sustainability priorities and goals, collaborate more, and elevate the student-led sustainability work. Another really cool initiative that we run is the WWF Canada Living Planet at Campus program. So we're a partner of WWF, and through this program, there's a couple cool ways for both students and employees to get involved. So there is a Living Planet Leader certification program that applies to students, and it's a really neat way for students to be able to do sustainability work, embed it into their academics, volunteering, leadership and teamwork, and their personal life. And through that, to earn an official WWF certification that can be added to their resume and their LinkedIn. So quite valuable for students to be able to have such a recognizable conservation organization listed on their resume. And then for staff and faculty, employees that are interested in working with WWF, they have a similar program called Living Planet at Work that also supports you in taking sustainable actions. Now, another really cool thing that they offer is the Go Wild grants. So those are $1,000 and relate to doing sustainable action and conservation on campus. A couple of years ago, a student received this grant and we hosted a native plant container giveaway. So we gave away 55 native plant container gardens to students all across London, which was very well received. And we do have another project in the works for this summer that we will be announcing very soon. So going back to what I mentioned at the beginning with the open space strategy, there have been quite a few improvements on campus relating to open space to encourage pedestrian, to make it easier for pedestrians and active transportation on campus. So you might recognize this space here in front of University College, which used to be a parking lot. When I worked in the IGAB building there, it used to be a small parking lot, and now it's a beautiful pedestrian outdoor space, which was completed in 2019. Here's an artistic rendition of the new space in front of Physics and Astronomy that was very recently completed, and this includes campus's first rain garden.
which is really exciting. So there's been a greater focus lately on native planting. And within this rain garden, there are native plants that are salt tolerant, drought tolerant, and also able to absorb a lot of water. So it helps with stormwater absorption. So rather than the stormwater flowing as runoff into the rivers and leading to flooding, rain gardens help to absorb that water and keep it in the ground. That was just very recently completed, 2022. The next phase of the open space strategy is going to be UC Hill. So watch out for this summer for some construction to develop. And you can see through the rendition here that there's going to be some more plantings here at the base. And you can also see that the slope of the hill is going to be much less steep, which is important for accessibility of the hill. So very excited for this next phase of the open space strategy. Also coming this summer is outside of the new Indigenous Learning Center will be the teaching garden. So with native traditional plants and medicines, it will be a space to connect, to learn from the land, learn from each other. And I'm very excited for this space as well. Another really cool garden on campus that was established last summer is the EnviroWestern Community Garden. So led by a student group, it's right outside of Middlesex College, kind of just next to the greenhouses across the road from North Campus building. You can see the concrete planters there and some of the produce that's been grown by the students. The students harvested, maintained, took care of the planters all over the summer, and also donated food to the London Food Bank. So it's a great way for students to get involved in the local food system, learn about local food, and share their passion with community. So Western became the first Canadian university to be a bee campus. We received that designation in 2018, which recognizes a commitment to pollinator habitat, educating about the importance of pollinators, and celebrating International Pollinator Week. So some of the initiatives that earned us the designation are native plants on campus. In this photo here in the left, you can see some milkweed and some bees visiting right in the EnviroWestern garden. We also have beehives on campus that are maintained and provide honey to Great Hall Catering. So building right in, hospitality services, obviously a huge organization on campus that has a major sustainability footprint. So they have a number of different initiatives to embed sustainability in all that they do, including responsible sourcing, so prioritizing local food, plant-based options, waste reduction and diversion. We work very closely with hospitality staff on making sure that we have the correct waste streams available and signage to make sorting easy for everybody on campus. Sustainable dining refers to things like the Fair Trade Campus designation that we have. So not only environmental sustainability, but also social sustainability and ensuring that products are ethically and responsibly sourced, and community collaborations such as the beehives. Now, waste management is a major challenge for us on campus, which Evan will get into a little bit later. But one thing that I just want to highlight is that we do have a 4-stream recycling program. So many people who come from outside of London are unaware that our recycling needs to be kept separate, containers and paper. And when the recycling is all mixed together, it's actually considered contamination and can end up going to landfill. So that's one of the messages that we work really hard to get across. But by keeping it separate, we're able to have a more efficient local recycling program. We also have special waste streams for all of these materials, a hazardous waste program, and a salvage and resale program. So through all of these waste diversion efforts, campus has a 50% diversion rate. So what that means is that 50% of all of the waste generated on campus goes to landfill, and 50% gets diverted through these other streams. So I think we can do better, but that is where we're at. It's not bad, but that does mean half of all waste does go to landfill from campus.
Great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we were facing from a sustainability standpoint. So one, how COVID has impacted some of our sustainability initiatives and what we're trying to accomplish on campus. Jess, I hope some text will pop up when you. Yeah, okay, perfect. So from an energy standpoint, COVID obviously has had an impact. Overall campus energy consumption and demand was down for most of the first couple of years of COVID, which is wild that we're near that 2-year mark. So there was a really big shift province-wide to residential energy use as we all started working from home. But one of the things that kind of worked against us in a sense is early days for COVID, we reacted and started to ventilate our buildings as much as possible based on their capabilities. And so we know a lot more about COVID now and how it's airborne and how it acts in air and the filtration and the different ways we can mitigate it from an HVAC perspective. So from an energy point of view, that's obviously had an impact. I'm sure everyone's noticed an impact on the waste side of things. Everyone's seen non-reusable PPE on the ground as litter. There's been different food handling requirements from the guidance that we've received from the local public health, and also the dining restrictions and to mitigate transmission. Places like residences and even earlier this year on campus, some of the food courts were shut down. And so that actually had a pretty dramatic impact on waste streams and on where waste was going and contamination and that sort of thing. So it's been challenging, and hopefully we'll be able to return to a more normal state sooner than later. As Jess mentioned, waste sorting and changing people's behavior is a major issue on campus. And I know I've lived in 2 or 3 different places over the last 4 or 5 years that all had different waste streams. In one place I lived, condo waste sorting was different from single detached. And I think we've done a lot of work across campus to try to standardize everything so that people are given the same set of decisions regardless of where they try to take their waste. But waste sorting really can be challenging. And so there's been a lot of education about that to try to get everyone on the same page. And new infrastructure has been rolled out on campus and will continue to be rolled out moving forward to try to make everything as standard as possible. And so I think, we looked at this slide. This is the new, our new infographics that you'll see around campus and the labeling that you'll see on the new bins that come out. And hopefully this will help us inch that diversion rate up quite a bit higher. And maybe someone was lucky enough to encounter a student program that went on across campus called Trash Talkers. And so there were some social media posts and students were out and trying to interact with people to help them understand, when they go to dispose of their trash or recycling, that they understand the impact of that personal decision and how that all works. And certainly we've seen, we have some challenges on the active transportation side of things. There's a lack of safe infrastructure both on and off campus for cyclists. The construction impact on existing routes can really present safety concerns. These pictures here show the University Drive Bridge that currently has sharrows painted on it. There's pedestrian specific space on the sidewalks, but cars and cyclists are meant to share that space. The diagram on the right is a proposed streetscape for the Cobourg City cycle track. And you can see that there's actually a division between automobile and cyclist space there, which is the direction that we hope to be moving toward long term as cycling and active transportation takes up hopefully a more meaningful share of commuting.
And one of the last major challenges that we experience is telling our story. We're a relatively new team in the sustainability office, and although sustainability work has been ongoing at the university for a number of years, like I mentioned at the beginning, but we have struggled over the last couple of years to connect with many different groups across campus. And to really tell our story. What we're hearing is that people want to know more about what Western is doing, and that sustainability is an absolute priority for students, staff, and faculty alike. So I just wanted to highlight some of the ways that we do outreach, which is through, we have a sustainability website. You might remember in the fall receiving an email for the Sustainability Pulse survey, which is an annual campus-wide survey, been ongoing for the last 2 years, where we are able to gauge sustainability awareness and knowledge across the campus to help inform our programming and education initiatives. We also have our own social media. So we are Western U Sustain, where we share lots of regular updates and student initiatives. We also love to engage in presentations and training such as this. And Western News has been featuring a lot of sustainability stories. There's a sustainability tag, so you can stay up to date on some major stuff that way as well. So talking about connecting across campus, there are a lot of different ways that we do reach out and that we have been connecting. So just want to share a few examples, like the student clubs and student initiatives that I've talked about, coming together as that sustainability network of clubs and student action is one of the major ways that we are making connections. We're also involved in some community engaged learning courses, class presentations, and class projects. So we've worked closely with the Masters of Environment and Sustainability, and particularly, which is that photo on the left there of some students that are going out to survey natural areas on campus and record information about where invasive species are occurring and what factors are contributing to more invasive species. So whether it's proximity to the river, other species, light, canopy cover. So they were collecting some information for a class project that way. We're also working closely with the Office of Indigenous Initiatives and Indigenous Student Center and Indigenous Students Association. We believe it's critical to center Indigenous knowledge in sustainability conversations and initiatives. So as an example, one upcoming event that we have is World Water Day on March 22nd, where we'll be co-hosting an event with the Indigenous Students Association on Water is Life. So I would encourage you to check that out. It's open to the full campus community. Inter-office collaboration. So some examples of that would be working with groups like Western International on things like the World Challenge. And we're always open to connections across campus. So if your office has a way for us to work together, please feel free to reach out. And then, like I mentioned, we try and raise awareness and get involved with the full campus community through the annual campus-wide survey. Another way that particularly for employees to get involved with us is the Green Office program. So admittedly, this program has been kind of on pause for this year and the last couple of years, really, as we've been forming our team. But our new goals with the Green Office program are to create a network of employees, so staff and faculty across campus that are interested in sustainability and want to network with each other. So I'm really hoping over this summer to set up a comprehensive program that will enable networking of sustainability champions across campus so that we can share ideas and undertake initiatives together, such as like campus cleanups, lunch and learns, and also as a way to share information so that when there are updates, we have a group of people that are interested that would like to receive those. There are some really neat ways to explore green spaces and natural areas on campus. Some student groups like EnviroWestern offer green campus tours, and some faculty also offer things like earth walks around campus. So through the Green Office program, we hope to be able to enable more connections to the natural areas and the land. And then also provide ways to implement sustainable changes within your office or department, whether that means raising awareness about proper waste sorting, encouraging energy conservation, or undertaking activities like campus cleanup. So if you'd like to get involved with that, like I said, it is kind of on pause right now, but please feel free to email us, sustainability@uwo.ca, to sign up, and I will keep you in the loop. So our upcoming events, we have the World Water Day that's coming up March 22nd, the Water is Life speaker series. We have two wonderful speakers lined up who will be discussing the history of water walks and the connections of water to life from Indigenous perspectives. So I'm really looking forward to that event. It's on the Western events calendar, so you can check it out and register there. The Innovation and Impact Symposium is going to recognize the Green Award recipients for this year, as well as the Wise Cage competition winners. So it's open to all. We would encourage you to participate in that. Although, like I mentioned, the date changed to March 30th, and promotions will be coming out for that soon. So you can follow us on social media or check out our website. The President's Advisory Committee for Environment and Sustainability is planning to hold a speaker series. And definitely just check out our events calendar. That's where you will always see updates coming out. You can get involved on our website. We have a sustainable living guide for the Western community. So lots of different tips for living sustainably and some recommendations on places outside of Western as well that might be of interest. So thrift shopping, local restaurants, local food, all that kind of stuff. It's all within the guide. I recently joined Bindigen, which is the Indigenous Learning Circle, and is a wonderful way to learn more and connect with colleagues across campus about Indigenous issues, which of course tie directly to sustainability. And the Green Office program is going to be up and running by September. So the summer would be a great time to sign up, get involved, and to start learning more about what we're doing. I am going to pass it over to Adam now.
Hey folks, very excited to do some trivia and Kahoot. So I am going to do a quick share screen.
And there are prizes. We're going to be giving away 2 prize packs for the top 2 winners of sustainability items to help you live a more sustainable life. So we have things like tote bags, reusable water bottles, reusable cutlery sets, bike lights. So I'll connect with the winners afterwards, and we'll arrange those prize packs.
All right, so we'll start the quiz here. So which energy source represents the greatest portion of Ontario's electric grid? I think there's some sound here. I don't know if it will play on yours. So 20 seconds to lock in your answer.
This is a really tricky one. Hydro usually gets people because of the title Hydro One, but it's actually nuclear energy that that mostly powers Ontario.
All right, off to the next question. I had to teach grade 6 science, so that's one of the things I never knew until I actually had to teach the little kids that stuff. Good job, Sean. So what certification is the new Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center planning to achieve? So the faster you submit your answer, if it's correct, the more points you receive too.
Yeah,
Nice,
so
nice. Go ahead.
great. Yeah, great job. So that building is going to be LEED Gold, at least potentially LEED Platinum. We'll probably see more LEED buildings on campus, but certainly for future projects, we're going to try to incorporate more zero carbon buildings as well. So those are going to be the two acronyms that you'll see moving forward with respect to green buildings.
How can Western employees get involved with sustainability? This might be one of those fastest finger questions.
Yeah. Some people were trying to be quick, maybe, and all of the above, definitely. And the easiest way is just email sustainability@uwo.ca. That will reach all of us.
Allie's jumped into the lead. What is Western's 2030 carbon reduction goal?
So this is actually tricky because this changed recently, but 45% below 2005 is the 2030 goal, and net zero is the 2050 goal.
What was the goal previously?
I believe it was 30% below, I think 2005, but the benchmark year might even have changed. So the province recently updated their provincial targets, and so federally as well. And so we, in lockstep with them, we made the same adjustments.
Emma's on fire. Which bin do paper-based takeout food containers go in?
If you've been on campus, you've probably seen a lot of these types of containers. And they cause a lot of contamination. Nice, awesome, great job, everyone. Yep, it's organics because they're paper-based. They break down in the organics and actually turn into biofuel.
Got a new leader. How many electric vehicle stations exist on campus? I'm sure if you drive an electric vehicle, you probably know this answer.
It's interesting. So of course, the answer is 3. It's a bit tricky because there's 3 stations that have 2 plugs each, but we actually have good data on who uses them. And so there's a handful of people who drive electric vehicles. We know who they are, and they charge regularly at the spots available. So it'll be nice in the coming years as we add some more plugs for people.
Is there any cost to charging at those stations?
Currently, you have to pay for the parking to access the lot that the stations are where they're located, and there's no fee for the energy right now. Moving forward, we're hoping to change that to public access, but a charge for the energy.
And more stations in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I would say we'll probably have some more, probably by the end of this year, certainly into 2023, we're going to have more.
Great. Working with landscape services, what invasive species did MES students track and collect data on last fall?
This might be a bit of a guess. I think I didn't mention it in my slide, but it was the picture of those 3 students with their bucket. Yeah, one of the most common invasive species on campus and in our region is buckthorn, which grows really quickly and can be really problematic.
It's a tight race. What is Western's STARS Sustainability Tracking Assessment Rating System rating?
Yeah, people were paying good attention. It is gold, and we aspire to be platinum in 2024, I think is the next time we'll submit.
Do they provide guidelines as to how you can achieve that platinum status?
Yeah, it's quite a detailed process. Hundreds of pages in the guideline documents that tell you exactly how many points are available for how you score in different areas. And so we've actually done a gap analysis to try to identify A, the most cost-effective ways to gain points, and B, the ways that align most with our institutional sustainability priorities. Because as you can imagine, there's some things in there that you can earn points that wouldn't necessarily move us closer to where we want to go. So we're trying to make that Venn diagram as tight as possible.
Right. 2 more questions to go. Where is the EnviroWestern Community Garden located on campus?
Close, yep, it's right beside the greenhouses, kind of behind Middlesex, across from North Campus building. So if you ever get a chance, go check it out. It's actually, yeah, it's quite impressive. Beautiful. All right, last question.
Last question, yeah. When did Western become the first designated B campus university in Canada?
Nice job. That's it, 2018. Great work, everybody. Let's see who won. Nicole, good job. Third place, Sean. And Ali, congratulations to all 3 of you. I might have said 2 prize packs, but I meant 3. If the 3 winners could please just send me a direct message with your email address, I'll get in touch to arrange that.
A tight race, only 13 points separating first and second, and Nicole just behind. Wow. All right, so I'm gonna do a stop share. That should turn it back over to the 2 of you.
Great, thanks for indulging us with that, everybody. So that was a lot of fun. And now we just have about 7 minutes on the clock, and we'd love to open up for Q&A if anybody has any questions. Feel free to pop them in the chat or just raise your hand or unmute. Colleen, go ahead.
Hi, great presentation. Nice break from the workday. Can you tell me who maintains the hives at Western?
It's yeah, for sure. It's through hospitality services, but it is an external organization. I'm not sure of the name. Evan, are you by chance? No.
No, I don't know.
I could look into that and get back to you. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I think it's on the name of the beehive box, but yeah, the honey is sold through Great Hall Catering if you wanted to grab some.
We've had it. I was just curious. I'm a beekeeper too, but I was curious who ran them at Western.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah, I can find out and get back to you.
I know at one point in time, our team actually had a retreat, and Dan Heffernan was the one who showed us some of the beehives and explained the whole process. I'm not sure if he still does it or if he does it right across campus.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Siobhan, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I also would love to know the person responsible for the honey. So when you reach out to Colleen, if you could send me that as well, that would be great. But I had another question. I might have just missed it in the presentation, but when you were talking about the grants through WWF, do you know the deadline of when, like what time of year did those happen?
Yeah, so it's passed for this year. The exact date, I can't recall, but it was late November.
Okay, good to know for next year. Thanks.
No problem. And I see a question in the chat, where does our compost go? But having trouble finding drop-off stations within London. Yes, totally understand that. Our City of London doesn't have an organics program, as you likely know. So our organics on campus go to a place called Seacliff Energy, which is located in Leamington. So it's actually not a compost program, but an organics program. And so that's why actually that we're able to take all of those paper-based food containers, because they have an inherent carbon and energy value. We're able to accept more paper products than the traditional compost system would be able to. So anyway, so yeah, it goes to Seacliff Energy in Leamington and gets turned into biofuel. And in London, if you're looking for drop-off stations, I would recommend the app called Share Waste. It facilitates community composting. So some people with backyard composters or community organizations such as Urban Roots, which is an urban farm, can accept compost from other community members.
Do you know of any offices or groups on campus that have, I guess, created some sustainability initiatives within their own groups that have worked well, and maybe you could recommend for other teams?
That's a good question. There are some offices that have ran their own organics programs in the past, but we're currently kind of undertaking a full overview of the organics program to offer something really consistent across campus. It is tricky since we don't have the city composting yet, but yeah, that's something that's kind of under work. Like right now, the organics is taking place almost 100% with back of house operations. It's also available in all the residence dining eateries and the UCC center spot, but for specific office initiatives that have worked well, one-off things like community cleanups, our office is able to lend out like garbage pickers and the bags and everything that you need, and then organize that within like a team in the office. That's something that's gone off this past year. But other than that, we will say a big thank you all for coming out. It's been great to connect with you, and please feel free to reach out to our team anytime.
Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly thank both of you. You did a wonderful job leading today's session, and I loved your use of Kahoot to kind of engage our audience. And obviously a big congratulations to the trivia winners. So we really appreciate learning more about ongoing and future initiatives and how anyone here at Western has that opportunity to become more involved. Both of you are quite clearly passionate about the work that you do. And I'm confident that you've motivated some of the audience today to kind of reflect and think about how we can change our maybe patterns of behaviors to kind of improve environmental well-being and the health of our planet. I'd also like to thank all of our participants for attending today's session. And if you've attended any of the sessions in the past, you'll know that we have an internal wellness rewards program at Western. So if you participate in wellness events like this one, you'll receive a participation code, and you will receive wellness points that can be submitted through MyHR, and you'll automatically be entered into a weighted monthly draw to win prizes from some of our great internal partners, such as the bookstore, Great Hall Catering, Hospitality Service, and Mustang Athletics, and maybe moving forward, sustainability. So the code for today's session is Enviro22. And if you're unfamiliar with the program, I'm just going to take a quick moment to show you how to enter that code in. So I'm just going to do another screen share. There we go. So you're going to log into My Human Resources, and then you're going to navigate over to the My Human Resources page. In the upper right-hand corner, it used to be just a benefits tile, but now it's benefits and wellness. And if you click on that, it will bring you to this page. It's probably going to default to benefits summary. So you're going to have to click on the left-hand side, the Wellbeing Rewards tab. Once you're on this screen, you'll enter today's code, so Enviro22. Click on the Submit button, and that will update the number of wellness points. And these points earned also accumulate with those earned off of LifeWorks. So if you're part of the LifeWorks platform and you've been doing some of the Habitude challenges and doing the daily snackable content, you'll receive points there, and then you can receive points through our program. And we just take the sum of those and enter you into that weighted draw. So thank you once again. You guys finished off of our winter wellness weeks, and we really appreciate you both taking the time to share your knowledge with our community.
Thanks again for having us. It was really great to be here.